What's up guys, Azura here, and today we are here for our first impressions of the new set in G. This month we are having a quote-unquote extra booster, because this is what it was in TCG. It was a Tri-3 Next, so with the name of the set, I think it's pretty easy to assume what is in the set. It is only the Tri-3 clans. We have Gears, we have Neo-Nectars, and we have Royals, obviously pertaining to Asha, Chronojet, and Alt-Mao. So without further ado, let's get on with the set. So first, I will take a look at Gears first, just because Gears is the clan that I've been playing. I've played the most. So the most notable card is the GR. I think the GR that's by far the better one is the Split Pegasus. Its skill is G Zone. So when it's face up in the G Zone, all your ZTBs. So ZTB would be like a trait, or like the race that they are, get plus 1k. So makes if you have two of these face up, it makes every 9k soul attacker, is pretty cool. But its first skill is really good. Once per turn, if your heart is a ZTB, you can you CB1 flip anything. So this card is not a G flip. So technically, if you have two, you can get away with two. But sometimes you just want to flip the first. On the first try, you want to flip a copy of itself, so you can get the immediate plus 2k power to all your stuff on the following turn. But nonetheless, it's not a G flip. So CB1, flip anything, and choose one of your rears and put it back into your deck, and search your deck for two cards or two ZTBs with or rather, this puts a grade 1 or higher back. So obviously, because you can't put 0, because no grade lower than 0 in this game right now. So you choose one of your grade 1 or higher rears and put it back into your deck. Then you search your deck for up to 2 ZTBs with the grade -1 to the card you put back. So if you put back a grade 3, the grade 3 you put does not have to be a ZTB, but the cards you call need to be a ZTB. So let's say you put back a Chronojet, you can call 2 grade 2 ZTBs from your deck. If you put back a grade 2, you can call 2 grade 1s. If you put back a 1, you can call 2 grade 0s. Yeah. So that's pretty good, because this card just converts one into this card's a straight up +1 and has a already okay G Zone effect. So I think this card is actually very good for the deck. I think this is your best first stride. A lot of times it's also your second stride, and sometimes I only have 2, but sometimes I wish I had a third one to play with. So that just goes to show how good I think this card is. I think this card is very good inclusion in Gears. The other GR, unfortunately, is not so good. The Crossover Dragon. Its skill is on play. You can choose 2 Chronojets with different names from your draw zone, put it back to the bottom of your deck. So in this case, it would be you only have 2. It would be the original Chronojet and the Chronojet Dragon G. And its skill is GB3 if your heart is Chronojet, CB2 to get a crit, and then call 2 Chronojets with different names from your deck and call them. And then those jets get the skill on hit to van, put itself and another Chronojet on your board into soul. Stand the van, so stand the crossover and draw 3. So this is a super convoluted restand. I honestly think it's really bad. I don't think the card's very good. I think the best line of text on this card is to put 2 jets back, because you could do some. I guess you can do some cool stuff like put like stands or crits or something back into your deck. But other than that, I think this card is very mediocre. I think this card's very passable. It looks pretty cool, but I think the effect is kind of terrible. So yeah. And this Tripura Stride like binds with stuff. I don't remember what this card is exactly. I just remembered it was not very good, so we'll skip that. And then as for actual good cards, for your grade 2 ZTP targets, the Ugo Uro, I think it's the name. Ugo Uro. The name is really weird, but this card is your best target because it is a ZTB and has an actual relevant effect. So its skill is during your turn, if your van is a ZTB, plus 2k when attacking van. So the 11k attacker is already really cool. And then GB1, when you drive check a grade 3 or higher ZTB, or a grade 3 ZTB, you can Soul Blast 1 and Talent Leap this card. So this card basically reads if you drive check a ZTB, grade 3 ZTB, you can Talent Leap and get extra attack in after that. So pretty cool. It's a really cheap attack extension. It's really nice. So I think this card is definitely a 4 in like a ZTB focused build without a doubt, because it's a solo attacker and an attack extender. So it's very nice. Another option for your targets would be the Peacock. Its skill is, and this card is called from deck from Time Leap. It gains a skill that doesn't go back to the deck at the end of the turn. So you can actually keep the intercept, which is pretty cool. I think the effect is actually pretty whatever, but the actual reason you play it is because it has ZTB race on it. So yeah. And that's it for the grade 2s. The rest of these cards I remember are all pretty bad. I think this searches Chronojets. I think this the other double rares are part of some like package you play that just isn't worth playing. So we'll skip over those. And finally, the relevant 2 cards, the 2 triple rares up here. First up is the ZTB PG, the Arca. So her skill is Drop Zone GB2, bind a copy of itself and a grade 3 and a ZTB with a trigger on it, so your grade 3s, to add a copy of itself back to hand and discard 1. So basically, if you have 2 of her in the drop zone, you use one of its skill, you bind the other copy of Arca, and then you bind a grade 3, and you add this back to your hand, and then you discard 1. So it's not a plus, it's a break even, but this lets you get PGs back from your drop zone, which is pretty cool. And a cool thing about this is if you bind a copy of PG, you could technically shrine to Huanglong, and then Huanglong can add the other PG back to your hand, which is a pretty cool interaction. So you can technically go from no PGs to 2 PGs in hand, which I think is pretty cool. Doesn't come too often, but it is a nice interaction between the 2 cards. And finally, we have the Mouse, I think is what this is supposed to be, but she's the grade 1. Her skill is if during your opponent's turn, if your Vanguard is a DTB, she can intercept and can intercept from the back row. So more back row intercepts are really nice. This thing has ZTB trait, meaning you can call it off of the split Pegasus, call 2 to the back, and just instantly have 4 intercepts for the opponent's next turn. So very, very cool there. And another cool thing you can do with this card is because it's a grade 1, you can call this off of Jetji's Stride bonus skill. Call it, time leap it to a grade 2, let's say a Glimmer Breath, spin it, attack, dual arc yourself, and then at the end of the turn, the main issue with time leap is that you lose the grade 2, right? But with this card, you just put it back to the back, and that's still an intercept. So I think this card is actually pretty cool for the deck. Pretty nice interaction with time leap, and pretty nice that you can call 2 of it off of split Pegasus. So yeah, well, that's it for Gears. My overall impression on Gears, I think they got some pretty cool. I think the cards they got are actually really good. Issue is the deck still feels kind of clunky, and because of how xenophobic the deck is with ZTB trait or race, the deck forces you to play a bunch of suboptimal cards to make the deck work. For example, the deck right now that I'm playing is playing Chrono Tiger G, the double rare grade 3 we got back in set 8. Yeah, set 8. That card kind of sucks, but it has ZTB trait on it, so play it for that because you need to check your grade 3s for the Ugo, and then you're forced to play stuff like Chrono Beat Buffalo, just literally just an attack, like an 11k attack, which kind of sucks. But it has ZTB trait and is your next best one in my opinion after the Ugo. So yeah, deck feels kind of clunky, or rather, deck feels smooth to play, but you have to play a bunch of like suboptimal cards to make the deck work, which kind of sucks. But yeah, overall, I think Gears are definitely better now, but I don't think they're particularly like super amazing or anything. So yeah. Next up, we'll take a look at Royals. Royals got a bunch of Brave support, but honestly speaking, because of how the new Altmile Heart works, I think Brave is it's straight up own deck, and I don't think it is better than the current deck. So I think the most important thing to look at here is the new Altmile, I think the Knight of Heavenly Decree. So Brave, GB2, power, cool, whatever. I think at the start of your turn, you can call a card from hand and give it plus 5k. And then when you stride, you can choose 1 card from hand and call it, and then choose one of your Brave units. Units with Brave give 5k. And then you can choose 2 grade 2s with Brave and put them back into your deck. So you read this and you'll be like, wow, this card puts 2 back instead of 1, it has to be better, right? Issue is all your good grade 2s do not have Brave right now. Benizil does not have Brave, Twin Sword does not have Brave, Fragment does not have Brave, Suleiman does have Brave, but Spirit doesn't have Brave, Fragment doesn't have Brave. All the cards you're playing before don't have Brave, and I don't think any of the new cards we got that do have Brave warrant slots over that current deck. So I think Brave right now at the moment is just its completely own build because of this Altmile being recycling Brave exclusive cards. So right now I think this deck is probably worse than the original build. I haven't got a chance to test it because I'm missing GRs and I don't craft them yet. So just from impressions, I don't think the new deck is better, but I do think once we get more good Brave cards, I think this Altmile will be much better and it'll probably end up being the better deck. So yeah. And then that's it for this Altmile. Rest of this grade 2s all kind of suck. We'll take a look at the strides. I'm missing one of them. 0 copies, but I think this is the Brave Lancer. I don't remember. I know one's Brave Lancer and one's Luminous Hope. Excuse me for the names. But this card is Brave when attacking man +3, and then GB3 when this unit attacks, you can CB1 and call 3 cards with Brave from your deck, and then for every card you call it, you discard 1. So this card can just fill out an entire board. This card has you procs Brave, and I think the most important thing to note about this is that you can call the Brave PG from set 8, and that bounces back to your hand. So that's pretty cool there, because you can use this to call out like 3 attack, like off 3 lanes or both columns, call a PG as a booster as well, and turn the PG and go back to your hand, which I think is pretty cool. Nothing too notable, but I do think that's what's cool about this card. And then finally, and then the other GR, I think this is the Luminous Hope. His skill is when this unit attacks or something. I don't remember the timing of this, but you flip and he gets power, and he gets power, which is kind of irrelevant because Van's already huge. And then Brave, when this unit attacks, if you have a face-up copy of itself in the G zone, you can call grade 2, or you can call 1 grade 2 from your deck, and then if your G zone has 3 or more face-up units with Brave keyword, you gets a crit. So I think this card does actually go into the old alt mod deck, because the deck isn't Brave restricted. The only thing that's restricted with Brave is the effect where it gets a crit, but this you can just stride Fightus and flip a copy of this, and then next turn you stride this to flip something else. So this card is, I think, does warrant like 2 slots in the other deck, but realistically speaking, this card, as I've put it, is just a reskin Tengen. It's like a side grade. I wouldn't call this card worse, because this card does have the advantage of being CB0 to call something, so you do open up yourself that 1 extra CB for an extra extension. The downside is it has to be Brave, and if you want the full effects of everything, you need to probably have strided something else with Brave before. So there's that. I think this card's a cool little side grade to Tengen, so you probably do play both in the same deck, but other than that, this card is kind of just there. It's cool. It can do what Tengen does slightly differently, so yeah. And then as for main deck cards, I think this PG sucks, so I'm not even go over it. It soul charges and maybe draws you a card, very unlikely. These great ones all kind of suck. I think the main notable takeaway here is the Albion. His skill is GB1, his unit attacks the van, Soul Blast 1, CB1, and call a grade 2 from your deck with Brave, and then it gives that grade 2 from your deck, and then it gives that unit the ability Brave on hit to ban, bounce back to hand. So that's pretty cool. Main notice is that this card does not have Brave itself, meaning you cannot recycle it with Alt Model, nor can you call it off of the Brave Lancer. So I think this card is an okay extender, but I think this card competes for the soul that you're using from Benizal in the main usual deck, but this card suffers from not having Brave in the Brave Center deck. So this card is kind of in this limbo spot where it's like it's kind of mediocre. I think this card's pretty mediocre in the normal build, and I think this card is lacking the keyword in the keyword focus build. So I think this card is in this like a really weird spot where like you're gonna play it in the Brave build, but you're not happy playing because it doesn't have Brave keyword. So there's that, and then bunch of double words. These cards all have Brave keyword. One attack advance CB2, call grade 2 if it's Brave, give that unit +3. CB2 very heavy, but you might play anyone just because. Oh no, this guy doesn't even have Brave. Never mind. This card's terrible. This card has Brave keyword. It's all relevant. He gives something 2k, and then he also has Brave, and he can become a booster, which is pretty cool, I guess. But other than that, these cards all kind of suck. Realistically speaking, the only notable cards here are the 2 GRs and the Alt Mile. I guess Albion's okay too, but overall, I think for Royals, I think you just stick to the old deck. I think you probably throw in 2 Luminous Hopes into the G Zone because you probably do have space for it. But other than that, I think the Brave deck overall is worse than the current Alt Mile deck. And finally, we'll take a look at Neo Nectar. Neo Nectar got more Bloom cards, but I'm gonna be real, these Bloom cards are kind of again, I think Asha is just a superior build as compared to the Bloom version of the deck. So take a look at the GRs first. I think Selfina is a very good GR because this card goes in the Jingle Thuria build. This card's skill is once per turn, flip anything in your G zone to give one of your units 2k. Then for every face-up copy of itself you have in the G zone, you can call a card with the same name as the card on your board, as the card you gave the 2k to, and then you have 2, and if you call 2 or more, she gets a crit. So crit's cool and all, doesn't come up, but she's now your new best first ride because if you play the game at all, you'll know that Jingle Thuria's first turn is usually just Lost Memory, and now you can tell more Lost Memories or more Thurias that count as Lost Memories. And but yeah, I was also going to say the card that you call with this card gets boost. So if you just put the card you call behind the Lost Memory, that card can now hit because you have a booster now. So I think this card does so much for the deck, and the most important thing is this card's effect is free, meaning you can save 2 CB is all you need to draw minimum 2 cards. So off of Lost Memory. So I think this card is very, very good for that. I think you need minimum 2 of this card for the meta Jingle Thuria build. So I think this card is very, very good as a 2 of. Minimum, I have 3 because I want to play 3, but I personally don't think the third one's ever come up for me yet. So Honestly, this card's a very, very nice 2-of in the deck now as your first ride. Next up, we have Inverno. Its skill is Soul Blast 1. I think it's a Soul Blast 1. You return 5 cards, 5 normal units from your drop back to your deck, and if you do, return 5 Soul, charge 1, CC 1. It's cool. And then GB2, when something's placed, you can CB 1 and discard a card, I think, or something, and then you dupe 2 cards back to your card bloom back to your hand. So the copium here is you dupe PGs, but the issue with this is that the only bloom PG that is available in the game right now binds itself after a use, so you can't actually loop them. So just because of that, I think right now this card sucks. Maybe it'll be better down the line, but right now this card is not played at all. You probably play it in the bloom centered build, but I think that build is strictly inferior to the Jingle Theoria build. So yeah. And then for the GRs, triple rares, we got a new Asha. This card is not xenophobic towards its keyword like the alt model is. GB2, Bloom, you have something with the same name on board, I think. Soul, charge 1, CC 1. So you have CC here, it's pretty cool. But at the end of turn, you can call a card from hand. It just like never comes up. But its stride bonus skill is when you stride Soul Blast 1, CB 1, call something with the same name. You can call a card from hand, then you can call something with the same name, something on your board, and then the unit you call gets boosted. So this card is, in my opinion, at the moment for the Jingle Theory build, it's still worse than the original Asha because it costs Soul, meaning it's actually a limited amount of uses you can have with this, assuming you don't like rewrite over and over again, which you don't want to be doing to begin with. But what this card does offer is 4 more ride targets you don't mind going into because it is Asha name. So this card is now an extra set of backup rides in the deck. I personally do play just 8 Ashas because I do not want to whiff ride ever. So I think just because this card has Asha name and it can still do basically the same thing as the old Asha, I think this card is a very good 4-up for the deck just because it is your new best backup ride. So yeah, Asha very good. Grade 2s, these cards all suck. I don't know what any of these cards do, nor do I care to read them. Grade 1s though, there is one card here for the Asha deck that I think is really good. As a new good 1-of is this card. Her skill is Bloom. When something with the same name as the card is placed on the board, you can Soul Blast 1, rest it, CC 1, and then give 2 units plus 4k, and then when this unit attacks, your Vanguard is a Ranunculus, so Asha gets plus 2k. So this card is a way to dump Soul, which is pretty cool, and it's also CC, and getting spread power, which is kind of relevant, but more importantly, this card's a CC. So if you're wondering how you process if it's 1-of, you call it Thuria. If you call it Thuria, it gets named, this card takes procs, you get the CC. So and this card's a very good 1-of. I'm even contemplating like cutting down on like a Pia to play 2 of this card. I think this card's actually really, really good for the deck. So yeah. And I think that is actually everything. Very small, condensed set. Only 3 clans. But overall, I think New Nectar got a few new cards. I think the Bloom deck is still kind of lacking. But I think the Jingle Theory build got like 2 really good cards for the deck. So, or 3 rather. So the Rich get richer. I think Alt Mile. I think the Brave deck is strictly inferior to the current build. And I think the current build got like basically no new cards because the alt mouse kind of whatever. Great 3 almost kind of whatever. Got some new toys in the Gears, which is pretty okay. I think Gears got a lot of good new toys, but I think the deck overall is still lacking. So that's it for my early impressions of G set 10, I think. Yeah, G set 10. Tell me guys what you think about this set down below in the comments. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.